Greetings, everyone. This is Jed Shlackman. Today I would like to speak a little bit about the subject of depression and hypothyroidism, how those two diagnoses or topics correlate with each other or overlap with one another. For those that are in the healthcare profession, you may have read or studied about how these two patterns of symptoms often relate to one another. It's commonly suggested that depression symptoms may be caused by hypothyroidism. So we're going to look at this a little bit more from a holistic and multidimensional perspective to understand the interrelationship, in a sense, the flow of energy and causality that can create both the depression and the hypothyroidism. We'll be discussing some common themes, so not everyone's individual situation is the same, but there are some patterns which show up rather frequently, which many people may relate to. So first, examining what is depression. Well, depression we could think of as a mood or emotional state of how we're relating to life, how we're putting ourselves forward in the world. When a person is recognized as being depressed, usually that person is in some way withdrawing from the world. They're pulling their energy into themselves and not projecting it out into the world, into relationships or into work or other pursuits or endeavors. Some of the typical diagnostic features involve the person's energy level, their lack of motivation, feeling hopeless or helpless, changes in their sleeping habits or eating patterns. So all of those kind of basic things about how we take in life are affected or impacted when someone's in that state for a prolonged period of time. If we think about what situations or circumstances you might say tend to trigger depression, it's often when a person has an experience in their life that they're not prepared to handle. So it could be some emotional shock, like a loss, a breakup, some major disappointment in someone's career or professional work. It could be someone who's just getting overwhelmed with things in life, so they've taken on a lot of burdens or responsibilities, and it's really feeling like too much, like they can't deal with it or handle it anymore. So they, in some way, at least subconsciously, want to get away from those things, to just kind of pull their energy back into themselves, to kind of hibernate in a way, to reclaim or regenerate their energy before they might consider going out and dealing with those things in the external world. Depression could also develop from a period of bereavement or grieving. So it's natural for someone to take time to go through a grief process, and sometimes they kind of stay in that process. They're holding on to whatever feelings or emotions have been present, and they're in a way not moving forward in their life. They're kind of stuck in that state that got triggered when they experienced the loss. So that's sort of a general summary or overview of some of the themes that are present with depression. And we can understand, looking at this energetically, that the person is kind of closing in their energy. So their energy might appear more withdrawn or weaker than it otherwise would have previous to them showing those symptoms. When we bring in our energy in that way, when our energy isn't really flowing, when we're not fully engaged in life, we tend to become more vulnerable to a variety of health issues. Our immune system may be impacted. So while we're emotionally depressed, our immune system is often suppressed. It doesn't respond as strongly to foreign items, organisms, or toxins that may impact us. And that could lead to a variety of health concerns. Also, this tends to affect the digestive system. So if we're not fully taking in life, we're not really fully and efficiently processing the foods we're consuming. There may be some distortion or congestion in the energy in the solar plexus and sacral areas. So a person may not be getting all the nutrition from their food that they otherwise would have. And that lack of nutrients can affect different organs and functions. Also, the digestive process, since it's not running as smoothly or efficiently, may be creating more toxic residues, more waste byproducts that are not being fully eliminated. So those toxins can build up in the body and lead to a variety of illnesses. In some cases, it comes into the nervous system, so it affects a person's thinking and thought processes and emotional patterns. And that's how some of the depressive symptoms or even symptoms of anxiety can be created. It can start out with the digestive impairment. Also, this can affect our throat chakra area. So if we don't have much energy coming through the solar plexus, if we're not asserting and expressing ourselves in life, we're also often not using our voice, we're not communicating, we're kind of isolating ourselves, we're protecting ourselves, so there's less energy there, and that could lead to a variety of thyroid issues. In particular, it could lead to kind of chronic infections in the thyroid area. So if you have infectious processes there, it tends to decrease the functioning of the thyroid. You'll end up becoming deficient perhaps in thyroid hormones. And this, of course, affects our energy and our metabolism. The thyroid hormones are vital in regulating those functions in our body, in regulating our energy level, and therefore a person whose thyroid is hypothyroidism, not functioning that efficiently, not producing enough hormones, this leads to that depressed energy state. In that sense, it's occurring from the chemical level, where you're deficient in hormones. So if you have toxins building up in your body and pathogens building up due to the lack of immune function, they may end up getting accumulated or focused in the thyroid area and leading to that hypothyroid condition, which in turn produces those energy-oriented symptoms that are commonly associated with depression. So you'll feel a lack of energy, you may have a lot of weight gain. These are common themes when people are going through depression. A person may be spending a lot of time in bed, sleeping, or just avoiding their daily activities or responsibilities. So all of that can be part of the same pattern or constellation of symptoms. So a question would be, which is causing which? Is hypothyroidism causing depression, or is depression causing hypothyroidism? And in a sense, it's kind of like a feedback loop that gets started, typically starting from a psychological and emotional level, where a person has some type of major shock, setback, or disappointment in their life that triggers them, at least subconsciously, to want to withdraw from life or protect themselves. And for that to be reflected more on the physical level, on the biological and biochemical level, the symptoms with the thyroid start to develop. But that whole chain of events, or that whole chain reaction, may be connected to the energy state of the different energy centers, such as the solar plexus, the sacral, and the throat chakra areas. Also, the heart chakra center may play a significant role. So as the energy isn't flowing in those areas, then the organs and glands in the body are not functioning as efficiently, and then that creates biochemical effects which lead us to respond to life in a particular way. But this is ultimately perhaps part of how our consciousness is being reflected or played out through our biology, through the body. So we're creating the symptoms that we associate with depression through what's happening on the physical level with the thyroid and other glands and organs. So the root cause in that perspective could be looked at as being on the psychological level. In a sense, the depression itself is a coping mechanism or response to some challenge that a person has encountered in life, or more often a series of challenges that kind of build up to that point, that tipping point, where the person goes into a more chronic state of depression. So if we're working on a holistic approach to help heal these issues, we want to look at it from these multidimensional levels to support and assist people both physiologically and energetically and psychologically and spiritually. So helping the person reprocess their past experiences, reflecting on how they've reacted to what's occurred in their life, how they think about things, what beliefs they've taken on. So releasing any of those cognitive distortions that may have developed, giving the person a greater sense of self-empowerment, self-confidence, helping the person be more connected to positive sources of support in their life. Also helping the body kind of refresh and rebalance itself. So using diet and herbs and nutrition, using exercise, using nature's elements such as water, sunlight, fresh air. All of these things can help the person recover themselves, reconnect with that desire to be fully present in life, fully connected to the world around them. So for those that are looking into healing issues that you're dealing with, or assisting others in addressing depression or hypothyroid types of symptoms, it's helpful to have this understanding and awareness that both levels of functioning, both the physical and psychological, are inseparable from one another. They tend to function as a feedback loop. So we can address both levels or both ends of the spectrum to work toward restoring health and well-being. you'll find that if you do address things on both levels, you tend to get more rapid and more complete results. If we only work on one level and neglect or fail to address the other level, we may have less success or less positive results. So I encourage those who are dealing with depression and with thyroid issues to use holistic resources to address things on the energy system level, the chakras and energy meridians, to use the elements of nature, so using healthy foods, using sunlight, fresh air, spending time connecting to nature, and using whatever nutrients or herbs may help your body replenish and rebalance itself. All of that can be quite valuable. And of course, working on a spiritual level, reflecting on your sense of self, how you feel you're connecting with life itself, your relationship with the world around you, with other people, and your relationship with the creative source or essence itself, what many people would refer to as God or a spiritual source. So I hope that this discussion has provided some insight, some input into how you can work to improve your life or assist people who you're supporting. For those that are interested in holistic health and well-being and spirituality, I invite you to visit my website, phinsights.com. That's phinsights.com. You can find links and resources there, as well as information about the services I provide. I also invite viewers to see more of my YouTube videos. I cover a variety of holistic health and personal growth topics. For now, I'd like to wish each of you a wonderful day. Namaste.